Well, hi. I'd like to talk today about why a loving God would allow bad things to happen. That's been a question often asked. Why does a loving God allow bad things to happen? Well, the Bible says that we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are the called according to His purpose. That's Romans 8:28. In July of 1945, the warship USS Indianapolis had just delivered the atomic bomb. On its way back home, it was torpedoed by the Japanese and sunk, stranding hundreds of men in the Pacific Ocean. Well, in the days that followed, many of the men perished by sharks or other means until the tattered survivors were finally rescued. How tragic. And why would God allow something like that to happen? You know, if we look at World War II alone, we see an awful death count of 54 million. And then we could add in World War I and other 20th century wars, and the death count would be over 100 million people. I've been to Jewish Holocaust death camps and museums, and I've seen the gas chambers. I've seen the dentures of the victims, their shoes, the prison garments of some of the 6 million Jews who died horrible deaths in Hitler's concentration camps. I've spoken with some of the survivors, and I've heard their horrific accounts of what they went through. And it all poses the question, how could a loving God allow such bad things to happen? We see, first of all, the perplexity of this issue. In Jeremiah 12 and in verse number 1, the prophet says, "Righteous art thou, O Lord, yet let me talk with thee of thy judgments. Wherefore doth the way of the wicked prosper?" Here's Jeremiah, and he's saying, now God, I know you're righteous, he said, but could I talk to you? He said, I have a question. Why do the wicked prosper? How could a just and a fair God allow such injustices? And this question has led to a crisis of faith in the lives of many people. You know, tragedies occur on a daily basis, such as murders and school shootings, abortions, rapes, accidents, financial woes, problems with relationship, and sickness, and so on. According to Dr. Horn of the U.S. Health and Human Services, on an average day in America, thousands of guns are brought to school. 7,700 teenagers become pregnant. 1,100 teen abortions take place. Hundreds of teens contract sexual diseases, and a number of teens, sadly a large number of teens, commit suicide every year in America. A random survey of teens in Baltimore alone found that 72% of them personally know of someone who's been shot. And sadly, such things happen in our world. You know, Jesus said in Matthew 18:7, "For it must needs be that offenses come." This stuff happens. Every day, tragic divorces take place. Loved ones die. Children are kidnapped or molested. People are cheated. Awful injustices occur. You know, such things could crush us to the ground. So how could God allow this to go on? We see the perplexity, first of all, but secondly, we see the paradox. In Ezekiel 18 and in verse 25, "Ye say the ways of the Lord are not equal. Hear now, is not my way equal? Are not your ways unequal?" This is God talking. And He says, you folks say that the way of the Lord is not equal, but hear now. Is not my way equal, and are not your ways unequal? You know, when bad things happen, many people immediately put God on trial. And there's a multitude of second guessers that put God in a corner, and they point their finger and they accuse God of unfairness. But let's take a look at the real problem. We wonder why God allows bad things to happen. Well, if God were to eliminate the source of the bad, He would have to start with us, mankind. You know, we're the problem. The Bible says there is none righteous, no, not one. And we're all guilty of selfishness, pride, lying, lust, covetousness, stubbornness, and a host of other things. You know, the problem with this world is a sin problem. And the sin problem is due to mankind. There's war in the world because there's war in our hearts. And we expect nations to get along with each other when husbands and wives can't even get along. You know, we talk about world peace. while neighbors are fighting, siblings are fighting, co-workers and relatives are fighting like cats and dogs. The problem is us, not God. If God were to get rid of the war and conflict problem in this world, He'd have to get rid of us. Folks, it's time to take God off trial. Now, I'll deal with this more next time, but may the Lord bless your day.